She's a winner.
And welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, where you take enlightened entrepreneurs, coaches, and influencers together to discuss cutting-edge topics in the world of relationships, culture, business, and spirituality. And here's your host, Miss Carol Boston.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. We actually are in our last episode for December 2024. We will be back here on Wednesday, January 1st, New Year's Day. So make sure you kick off the new year with us. We're going to be doing new things in the coming year. Now, those of you who know me know I'm your weather girl. And what am I doing with my glasses on? I can see you. I just can't read without them very well. Look at the beautiful weather behind us here today in sunny South Florida. But if you had been here with me a few hours ago, black and pouring down. We are so grateful. We were in a rain deficit, and yet they said that the most rain was going to come tonight. So we'll see what the nighttime holds. When you chime in the comments, let me know where you're chiming in from and what the weather's like where you are. Do you let the weather determine how you feel? Someone said to me this morning, this is just a good day to stay in bed. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I already got up, went to the gym, coached 2 clients, had a 3rd call. You're just getting out of bed. Do you get up every day and enjoy it? Do you love the day? I love getting up. I go to bed early because I get consistent sleep, but I love getting up. If you're like me and you're watching this, just let me know in the comments. There's so many things spinning around in my mind to talk about today. One of them is that I think the money we pay people to play sports is out of control. Our priorities are misplaced. I understand money begets money. And, sales and money make the world go around, sell all those tickets. But I was listening to a Miami Dolphin. I live in sunny South Florida. And apparently, I did not watch the game last week, but one of the Dolphins got injured quite badly. They were very concerned for him. They had to unscrew his helmet off of his head and cut open his shirt and give him oxygen. And he was carted off on a stretcher to a hospital and blah, blah, blah. So after the game, they're interviewing this other player who is this awesome running back. This gentleman couldn't speak a complete sentence. Every 3rd or 4th word was, I was like, oh my God. I started counting them. And then I said, I can't listen anymore. Completely inarticulate, doesn't understand grammar at all, but making millions and millions of dollars. I'm all for paying our teachers more, paying our police officers more, paying our fire department more, and paying ball players less. And you know what really gets me? Come on, I'm an LSU fighting Tiger. One of the cool things about growing up in the day when I went to college, and even for a few years after that, is you were loyal. I mean, think about it. I graduated in 1983, 41, going on almost 42 years ago, and I still support LSU. Not just on television, but as an alumni. And yet, now with this new NIL policy in place in college sports, you could literally change colleges 4 or 5 times in your college career. How is that? Where's the loyalty? I mean, I am an LSU fighting Tiger. What are they going to say? Well, let's see. I'm a Razorback. I'm a Tiger. I'm an Eagle. I'm a Roll Tide. What? And you know what it's all about? Money. It's all about money. Money makes the world go around, right? Come on, I say sales makes the world go around and love makes the ride worthwhile, but sales takes money. So for today was day 20. I've been in an energy clearing group by Friday, it'll be 22 days. That'll be the end of our 22-day session. And it's all around money. And it's been quite fascinating to understand where things come like in our ancestry and how we carry things over subconsciously that we're not even aware of. And the energy Everything on this earth is one thing. Everything is energy, right? And energy never dies. Energy never dies. So if we are energy, I'll go back to something I think I said a few weeks ago. I heard it from Jim Fortin. His brother-in-law is a very, very well-respected shaman in the world and has worked with all of the top leaders from multiple foreign countries and here in the US. And Jim was upset about something. Now think about it. Everything is energy. This table that's holding my laptop is energy. The atoms are just moving so fast I can't see them, right? And energy never dies. So Jim was very upset about something, and his brother-in-law said, Jim, I'm going to tell you something you might not want to hear. Jim says, what? He was mad, right? He said, everything is, always has been, and always will be fine. And Jim sat there stewing. So he repeated it. Jim, everything is, always has been, and always will be fine. We're energy. Energy never dies. So everything is always going to be fine with us. We may come back to this planet in another body. That was very foreign thought to me. And I still don't understand all the things about energy clearing and everything, but I'm open to learning, right? I mean, I was raised in the Methodist church. You have one soul and one body, and when the body dies, your soul goes to heaven and it stays there. Well, I'm learning that perhaps, just perhaps, that might not be quite accurate. Might not be quite accurate. There is the belief that our soul can go into another body or in another form that we're totally unaware of and end up on another planet. And our soul continues to travel in this energy to learn the lessons that we get to learn that we didn't learn in the last lifetime. So the concept of the fact that I may have had 150 lifetimes is like next to impossible for me to grasp. And yet, I'm open to listening and learning. And I have become very good at trusting in the process and just taking the next step because what? It's all going to turn out okay. Now, is it always going to turn out like I want it to turn out? Of course not. Thank goodness, right? Oftentimes it turns out better. How many of us know? I mean, our brains are not infinite like God's brain. That's why I teach and train on empowering questions, how to get the answers you really want, because you're stuck in a jar. And none of us can read the label when we're inside the jar, and we're all in a jar. And when we get attached to the outcome, how many of you were attached that 2024, your business, your personal life, your health had to end up just like this? And you had it all planned out. Are you disappointed? Are you disappointed in your year? You know what expectations are? Expectations are just disappointments in the making. There's one to talk about. We can look forward to things, but if we expect that it has to show up a certain way, we have eliminated all the other options. And do you know how many options God has and knows about that we have no clue about? Okay, I'll just say me. I'll preach to me. I have no clue about all the options that are out there. We don't know all the ways that our revenue streams could come in. We have ideas. We have things we're willing to work on. I met with a client this morning who was blown away by some things that had happened in their business that they hadn't even thought about, hadn't planned on, hadn't seen the vision, and it was greater than anything they could imagine. And then I talked to someone else. She had her best year ever, made millions and millions of dollars, and was bitching about having to write a check to the government for her taxes. And she said, oh, it makes me so mad. They're going to take this money and use it for pharmaceutical this and that and this and that. No, that's not your money anymore. That's the government's money. Let it go. Let it go. One of the things that's come up lately that I want you to think about is, what are you making matter that doesn't really matter? When you begin to sit and ponder that, You can let go of a lot of the stress, a lot of the agitation, a lot of the worry. Maybe it's even causing you fear and anxiety. But things just don't matter as much as we give them credit for. I mean, you've heard it said before. People on their deathbed don't say, "Oh, I wish I'd made more money. Oh, I wish I bought that car." No, they wish they'd had more time with family, more time with friends, more experiences, good experiences to enjoy. How many of you have ever been up in a hot air balloon? Now that is an experience to enjoy. I had the privilege of doing that out in Colorado. Uh, it was something that I chose to do to overcome a fear of heights that I had. And we went up to Winter Park, Colorado. And this was many, many years ago, back in the 90s. And we flew into Denver, spent the night in Denver, got up the next morning to go have breakfast. We were in downtown Denver. My girlfriend, who was from Florida, had never seen snow. She was like a little kid. So we walked to the breakfast place. And as we're walking back, I mean, it's snowing, beautiful. And we get up to the hotel room, and I'm the only one packing the bags because her nose is like a little kid stuck to the window watching the snow. How many things would change in your life if you were able to view them from a place of curiosity like a child? That's one of the reasons I teach and train and use empowering questions. They allow you to come from curiosity and not judgment. Listen to the lady. I'm like, be grateful you made millions of dollars. Be grateful that you get to write that check. Do you know how many people would love? I would love to be writing that check. I didn't make millions and millions and millions last year or this year, right? I'd love to be able to write that check. How many of you, if you're here and put it in the comments, how many of you would like to write that check? We live in the most amazing country in the world. And we have the most mass shootings in the world. I heard a statistic yesterday or the day before on the news. We've had 468 mass shootings this year. That's more than one a day. As a matter of fact, that's almost 1.5 a day. People are angry. And don't have the tools to resolve it. I may be all over the place today, but I'm just trying to pour into you some things that are on my heart. Anger is a cover up. Anger is a secondary emotion. We get to look at what's underneath that. Is it hurt? Is it guilt? Is it shame? Is it embarrassment? What is it? What is it that we don't want to face? I was speaking with a client just a few minutes ago, some of the challenges he was having. And one of the things he said was, Carol, it's like I got this big pot of gumbo. And I got this in it and this in it and this in it, and my website and this and my emails and in it, right? But he had written in his prep form that he was procrastinating, right? And I said, I'm going to share something with you I shared with a client last week. And when I shared it with a client last week, as soon as it came out of my mouth, I thought, oh, that was meant for me. So if nobody else heard it but me and that client, I heard it. And what I said to that client was something I learned from another coach who runs about a $7 million business, been around a long time. She's smart. And she said, procrastination is a form of self-abuse. I was like, oh, man. That's exactly what that client said too. So when I went to the chiropractor on Saturday, my best friend, Dr. Roz, sorry about the dog, UPS guy must be near. I was telling Dr. Roz this, not knowing that Dr. Roz was really irritated and agitated with me. She had never said anything. because of this one area in my life that I was procrastinating in. It happens to be an area that she doesn't procrastinate in. And I want you to think about this judgment, folks. How many times does it come? Well, I would never do that like that. Yes, you would. You don't know what you would do if you've never been in that situation, right? Our ego comes in. We get holier than thou. And that had been her attitude. And I shared that with her. Procrastination is a form of self-abuse. And she's like, oh, I needed to hear that. My paperwork, my taxes. See, we all get to help each other if we're honest, right? That nobody's perfect. Nobody's got it all together. We don't have it all going on. But if we could come to that place of acceptance, I think about that kid that just shot the CEO of United Healthcare, planned it all out. I know you're supposed to say allegedly shot. The evidence is overwhelming. Overwhelming. And yet, he's going to plead innocent. They're going to spend millions of dollars. I don't get it. But he was angry because his back hurt. Now, supposedly his back hurt so bad he couldn't have sex with women. And yet, if you look at him, he's muscular. Got to be doing something, working out somewhere, building muscle, which means what? You get to use your back. But apparently he has a couple of, I don't know, screws or rods in his back or something. And angry. Doesn't know how to manage the anger. Shooting that CEO solved nothing. The sad thing is some people want to call him a hero. Now, is our healthcare system a mess? Yeah, it's a mess. For sure. Could use a complete overhaul. Killing one person isn't the answer. Some wife just lost her husband. Some son and daughter lost their father. Someone lost their son. Think about it. Come on, let's jump into Ayan. Let's see what Ayanla's got for us today. Oh, there, now I can see to read. For those of you who are new here, we read from Ayanla Van Zandt. Until today, we tie it into not only our personal lives, but to our businesses, into who we're being. Who we're being. I forgot to share something just a minute ago when I'm telling you a story about the client who's got the big pot of gumbo, right? And he's telling me all this stuff. And he's lost focus and he doesn't have as many clients, but he's trying to do this and that and this and that. And I calmly looked at him. He happens to be a licensed mental health therapist, studying to be a pastor. He's in seminary. He's really good at helping young, troubled teenage boys. And I said to him, busyness is an intimacy issue. And he looked at me and goes, oh my God. And I was just quiet for a minute. He wrote it down and he looked at me. He goes, that was a whap upside the head. He's not married. He doesn't have kids. You see, intimacy isn't just about sex. I said to him, what part of you in your life are you avoiding looking at? You're staying so busy that you don't get to look at who you are, who you're being. Come on, we've all done it. Yeah, wham, right upside the head. Jeff Purdue in the house. Jeff, I had sent a text to Stephanie, Defa Rick and Licious, and to Kathleen Tyner and said I was missing you. I said, Jeff's a road lizard. I never know where he is anymore. And I've been crazy busy. So you and I get to connect over the holidays. And I was talking to Aruba here before the start of the show that I get to get with you and Max. And we're going to change the title. We're going to change the intro, the outro. And we're going to try to get this from being hidden behind a barricade so that more people get to see it. We're going to start inviting more people here, getting more people on the show. Tell us where you are in the world, Jeff, and what's the weather's like. Tell me how your dad's doing. To know Jeff is to love Jeff. But it's true. busyness is an intimacy issue, and we've all gotten caught up in it. There isn't a single one of us that hadn't done it, because it keeps us from looking at things. Just like procrastination keeps us from looking at things. And what happens when we procrastinate, right? Think about the ostrich. Come on, picture an ostrich in your head. What does an ostrich do? It buries its head in the sand. What happens when its head's in the sand? Its ass is in the air to get kicked. So is yours. So is mine. So is everybody's when we go into avoidance and bury our head in the sand. But it's so easy to do, isn't it? We are in December in Ayan Levanzan's book, and the theme is, I will know peace when. Today's thought is, I will know peace when my learning is reflected in my doing. Your learning and growing in life is not measured by the pace. It does not matter how fast you do it. Your progress, the level of your understanding, and the ultimate rate at which you grow can only be measured by what you do. I titled this today, Are You Learning or Are You Doing? How many of us, I've been guilty of it, learning, and not putting it into action. If you're like me, put YANA. You are not alone, Carol, in the comments. Jeff says, I am in Detroit for the foreseeable future. Mom is in ICU. Oh my gosh, we have to talk. Mom is in ICU and dad is probably going to the hospital today. He isn't sounding good. I'm so sorry, Jeff. Oh my goodness. Yes, let's talk. Jeff says, Yana, thank you for putting that in the comments. Prayers up for your mom and your dad. And oh, what a tough time of year. Your progress, your level of your understanding, and the ultimate rate at which you grow can only be measured by what you do. You may know how to do many things. You may feel like you understand even more. You may have made vigilant attempts to gather as much knowledge and information as is available about yourself and your life. However, learning, growth, and understanding can only be measured by doing. How is that? Because only in our doing do we get results. And only when we have results do we have something that we can measure. And only when we have measurements do we have something that we can manage, both in our life and in our business. As you learn, your behavior changes. As you change your behavior, what you do and the results you get solidify what you have learned. If you think you have learned something, but you are still unable to execute it, then your learning and growing have not been completed. Give yourself time. It is sure to happen. How many of you know that in God's economy, he's a God of second chances? You always get a chance to get the same lesson over and over and over until the lesson is learned. It's not like going to school where you get an F. Until today, you may have believed that all you needed to do was learn something. Just for today, examine how your learning has affected your doing. If one is not reflecting the other, know that there are more lessons in store for you. Today, I am devoted to examining how I do what I know. Malcolm Smith in the house, he says, amen. Thank you, Malcolm. Malcolm's over in Texas. I'm sorry you missed most of the show. We got a few more minutes. And we're going to be here on New Year's Day. We are going to take Christmas off next week. But we will be here, same time, same channel on New Year's Day. I get together with Jeff and with Max. We're going to change the intros and the outros, the title to the show, what it takes to get on the show, a little bit of the format of the show. It's going to be called Crack Your Code, Reframe Your Life. I did have one thing I was going to say about what Ayan Levon said, and it skipped my brain. Oh, it's about leadership. We talk about be, do, have leadership. Be, who are we being in order to do what we get to do so we can have what we say we want? Have you ever been in a place where you just like, ugh, I just don't like who I'm being? I have. That's what got me to invest in Jim Fortin's program late last year. He's one of the leaders in B do have leadership. And even though I teach and train on it, guess what? I have blind spots too. I couldn't see my own blind spots. I just didn't know. I knew that in certain areas of my life, I just didn't like who I was being. One of those ways of being was what? Procrastination, not inaction. One of those ways of being that I didn't like is I wasn't completing what I started. And so now I get to keep that in front of me and remind myself. My top 3 values, my top 3 ways of being to be in alignment with my values are integrity. I get to be integral with myself first. Abundance, good abundance and expansion. And thirdly, completion. Malcolm says, nice. Looking forward to seeing the new titles, and I love the name. Thank you. Jeff said, today or in general? Laugh out loud. Oh, when I asked who's being. Just in general. Just in general. Yeah, I'm excited, Malcolm. I have made the investment, and I'm actually going to get certified in code breaker technology. I will be able to teach and train the bank system. I will have my own license and can teach it and train it anywhere in the world. And I already have some target markets that I'm looking at. And it's funny how things work out. I was speaking to Edna. I think Malcolm, you and Jeff both know Edna from when I used to do the Craft Cocktail Show and Carol's Courage to Confidence Corner show. And she's a past client of mine. We happened to be in a direct sales company together. And we were chatting the other day after I had her crack her code. And she was totally fascinated. She says to me, why aren't you teaching this? You're a great teacher. And I said, because I'm not certified. Well, lo and behold, less than 2 weeks later, they came out with this amazing certification package that's 50% of what the normal investment is to get certified at level 1, 2, and 3, and they waive the licensing fee. How did all that come about? Not a coincidence. Malcolm in capital letter says, love Edna. Me too. Edna's great. As a matter of fact, I don't know, Malcolm, I remember Malcolm. You were there. What was it, 2 or 3 summers ago when Edna was on vacation with her family, and yet she showed up at the Craft Cocktail Show, and she decided that every time I used the word macerate, I was teaching about macerating cherries to go in drinks. And she was like, that's it. Every time Carol says the word macerate, we have to shoot a shot, right? Edna's not a big drinker, but she was fun. Jeff said she is cool. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. I'm grateful she shows up on my Facebook stories and reels and feed more often than most people. I heard a stat the other day, Jeff, that only 6% of the people in your feed will ever see what you do. Only 6%. There's another new statistic that came out that someone has to hear your offer 10 to 25 times before they can even hear it. I mean, really hear it and get it, right? So that's a lot of marketing, different kinds of marketing. They're talking about doing it on 4 platforms. And so as I begin to change the name of this podcast going into 2025 and change the name of the show, we're going to look at those platforms as well. That's something you and I will be talking about, Jeff. Malcolm laughed. He said, it's less than 6%. Jeff said, I heard it as 5. Maybe. That's just what I heard today, sitting in on a class. So this is our last show for 2024. Like I said, we're going to take Christmas off. We will be back here on New Year's Day. So I wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas if that's what you celebrate. Kwanzaa, if that's what you celebrate. Hanukkah, if that's what you celebrate. I'm just glad you're celebrating. Blessings to each and every one of you. Go in peace. Make it a great, great holiday. And make sure you make somebody smile every single day. Love you guys. See you in the new year.
Thank you for listening to Into the Entrepreneur Show, brought to you by Life Coaching Today magazine, empowering your health, your business, your community, your life. Check out the latest issue today at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.